Hello everyone, my name is Kira Emiker, and today I will be presenting The Hidden History of Native Americans. Um, there are three works that I'm presenting to you today. Each of them depict a different way colonial artists used their work to dehumanize the Native American people that they took advantage of. These are the three artists and their work. The first one is going to be John Mix Stanley and his painting Osage Scalp Dance. The second one is by Theodore DeBry and is titled Native Americans Enslaved by Spaniards. And the third one and final one is going to be by Paul Kane and is a painting titled Flat-Headed Woman and Child. So this is the first one. A little bit about John Mix Stanley. He was born in America and was very well known for painting Native American life as well as quite a few landscapes. This painting was published in 1845 and depicts Native American warriors dancing around a terrified young mother and her child. Stories of scalping or the act of removing the scalp from the skull while a person was alive made its way around colonial America and eventually to Europe. This is the subject of Stanley's painting. Surrounded by large Native American warriors, the white woman and her child are terrified. This painting shows the woman and child as victims, which further proves the point that it was used as a form of propaganda to make natives look more savage or less human. Again, this painting is one example of how white artists depicted the savage American Indians. While scalping did happen, it was typically only during times of war. This image was one of many that were created to ease the consciousness of American settlers from the horrible treatment of Native people on their end. This painting was created during a time where colonists were moving further inland, and so they feared the Native people, but the Native people feared them as well. And so this painting, I think, is surrounded by the idea that if we hurt them, it's because they hurt us. And so that in itself is a way for them to feel better about the treatment of the indigenous people. This is the second piece of work that I'm going to present to you by Theodore DeBry. It was published in 1596 and is an engraved print that depicts an image of Spanish settlers enslaving Native men, women, and children. This image shows how Spanish settlers enslaved Native Americans and forced them to carry their luggage or packs, as you can see in the picture. You can see in the background in the far back corner the image of a fallen Native man, I believe, who has fallen from exhaustion and is being beaten down further by a Spanish settler. The actual image of the Native people in this engraving as well further shows that the Native people were seen as less than human, with their sloping foreheads and their sunken in and dark eyes. They look more monkey than human, more Neanderthal. And finally, the painting by Paul Kane. This painting was dated between 1848 and 1853 and depicts a Chinook woman and her child whose head is being reshaped. This painting has been a subject of a lot of controversy through the years, and many see it as a harmless painting of a Native woman. Others see it as a criticism of the Chinook traditions. The people who see this as a criticism often say that it is the Victorian point of view, and is argued that this painting is yet another way colonists dehumanized natives. Traditions and procedures that reshaped their head was often criticized as it could be very harmful to the people who went through the procedures, but the people who did it to feel closer to their gods or their spirits that they worshipped. And so this is yet another way that or could be yet another way that white artists often depicted Native Americans or Native people as less than human in the way that they acted in the traditions that they had. And finally, this presentation was meant to start a dialogue or start a conversation around Native American history. I know my personal experiences throughout high school and junior high and even in elementary school, Native American history was never mentioned. And if it was washed over in about a day. I think that this way that we are teaching our children is because of shame, or the history was written by people who were ashamed of what had happened. There's also a fear that this way of teaching is not because of shame, but for fear that if people truly knew what had happened, the dark, dark secrets that surround the history of the Native American people, that they would stop thinking that America was built by immigrants, and rather it was built on the bodies and the deaths and the mistreatment of the indigenous people. This presentation was not meant to change the way that you think about it, but rather to open your mind up to questions, to thinking in a different way. And so I have a few questions for you to end this presentation. The first one is, how has art been used to cover up history that is rather forgotten? And the second one, is there any truth to the saying, those who cannot learn from history are doomed to repeat it? These are both very, very different questions, but questions that I have thought about quite a bit myself, and I would like you to think about as well. And so with that, I'm going to leave you with those questions. And I hope that you have a beautiful night. And yeah, thanks.